Your station, 101 FM, with Saturday Sports Scene.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Scene for another week right here on 101 FM. Kevin Braysher here with you, as always, taking you through the latest and greatest news in the world of sport, and there's nothing greater than the Ashes at the moment. How good are those Aussies, guys? Amazing performance yesterday to bowl out the English for 136, and they're back in now, none for 65 at stumps on day two. What a performance from the Aussies. Let's get to it, guys, introducing the panel. Joining me, as always, the founding father of Sports Scene, Mr. Darren Madigan. Darren, welcome to the show, mate.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. Mitchell Johnson. How good do I feel about that? Especially after some of the things you guys said to me earlier in the year. Never mind. We'll get onto that when we get to the cricket. Very excited this weekend. Last year, honestly, cricket, I just had enough. The way the Cricket Australia were handling things. This year, all of a sudden, I'm excited about it again and couldn't wait for that first ball to be bowled in this second half of this big Ashes thing. And one other thing too, it's not all about sport this weekend. Doctor Who tomorrow morning, 10 to 6, 70 countries around the world, and half our audience will probably be watching it. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Good stuff, Darren. Also joining us on the show this morning, AFL Queensland Hall of Famer from the Southport Sharks, Mr. Craig Crowley. Craig, welcome back, mate.
Thanks, Kev. Yeah, exciting to see. And look, the pleasing thing about the cricket, obviously, is, the hype about it. Even though the Australians are well and truly in front, they're competitive. And that's all we ask of them at any particular time. And, look, it's whether it's the luck of the toss, which was brought up a lot in England in the last Ashes, who knows. But, look, they're there. They're a chance. 1-0, possibly, can lead into maybe a series win.
Have fingers crossed for him. And, of course, also joining us on the panel this morning from Rugby League Player Magazine and from theraw.com.au, Mr. Chris Chard, mate. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kev. Cricket never in doubt, mate. Had the Australians down for a 5-0 series win, so I'm happy with my prediction so far, mate.
Yeah, it was never in question, was it? And also joining us in the studio this morning, it's first time in quite a while, and he's just fresh straight in the studio with us right now for the Australian Karting Association, Mr. Lee Hanatscheck. Lee, welcome to the studio, mate.
Thanks, Kev. Great to be with you boys again.
Mate, it's great to have you here. We've almost forgotten what you looked like. It's been that long since we've had you in here.
Check his ID.
Looking bloke, don't you worry about that.
No question, mate. All right, let's get to the results. We'll start with that Ashes test, of course. It stumps on day two. Australia none for 65. They posted 295 in the first innings and bowled England out for 136, including an amazing run of 6 for 9 within 10 overs there during that middle session yesterday, ripping through the English middle order. The Aussies lead by 224 going into the third day today at the Gabba. In the Sheffield Shield, New South Wales, they're 3 for 140 at the end of a rain-affected first day against against Queensland, I should say, at the SCG. The start of play was delayed and the entire third session was lost there, so plenty of rain affecting that one. We'll have Chris Swan on the phone shortly after the first break to tell us all about that game and how the Bulls have been travelling in recent weeks. Also in Adelaide, Tasmania, are 6 for 226 heading into the second day of their match against South Australia. Ed Cowan top scored with the bat with 68. And at the Wacker, the Western Warriors are in control at 3 for 315 on the back of 145 from Marcus North there. In the A-League Round 7 last night, Brisbane Roar moved to the top of the ladder with a 3-1 win over the Western Sydney Wanderers. That was the Wanderers' only their second loss in their last 21 games. Darren, it was an amazing performance from the Raw, some absolutely spectacular goals.
Raw are on fire at the moment, aren't they? They're playing very, very well, and 3 great goals. If you see the highlights of them, fantastic. They'll want to put the goal that was scored against them away somewhere because it was very, very ordinary defence. They were standing there like statues of liberty, but I'm sure their coach will sort that out with them during the week. Worry for Western Sydney. I'm trying to get some information while we speak at the moment about Shinji Ono. Who went off with an injury. So I'm not sure how serious it was, but I'll try and get some more information as we go on with the program. But yeah, Brisbane Roar are looking fantastic at the moment.
Certainly are. Let's go to the basketball now. In the NBL Round 7, New Zealand Breakers 78 defeating Townsville Crocs 72. And we also had the Adelaide 36ers 91 defeating Perth Wildcats 86 in front of 6,500 in Adelaide. And Lee's fist pumping in the studio already. We already got South Australians winning there.
That
first loss of the season. Cracking result there for the Adelaide 36ers. Also in the WNBL overnight, Bendigo 84 defeating Adelaide 76. Sorry about that one, Lee. Townsville 80 defeating Canberra 74. The Logan Thunder are in action this afternoon at the Logan Metro against Canberra. We will have Jason Chaney on the phone with us just after 9 o'clock to tell us all about that one. Also in the ABL, the Australian Baseball League, Canberra defeating Brisbane 4-3 and Perth defeating Melbourne 7-2 overnight. Darren, what else is happening in the world of sport?
All right, bit happening in golf. Before we get started, we should mention too that the Tour Championship for the European Tour was won by Henrik Stenson. He's the only man now to have ever won the double-double, which is the end-of-season championships for both that tour and the US PGA Tour, and also the season-leading championships that go throughout the season leading up to the end of for both tours as well. What's all that mean? It means about $23 million US that boy has walked away with for season 2013, and he has not won a major championship. So that's just astonishing. As far as the World Cup of Golf, they're all down here to play at the wonderful Royal Melbourne Composite Course. At the moment, individually, Thomas Bjorn is leading at 8 under par after a 66 and a 68. Kevin Streelman second to that. Jimboomba's own Jason Day is currently third at 4 under after a 68 and a 70. Adam Scott's had a absolutely horror first round where he carded a quadruple bogey and ended up with a 75. And he shot a good 68, but he came back from a couple of pretty bad holes there to do that. As far as the nation's standing is concerned, the United States are leading at the moment from Denmark and Australia. And obviously if Adam starts to fire again, because Jason's obviously still in form, we might see us right up there with the United States as the weekend goes on. The LPGA, the girls are back into it in Naples, Florida, and Sandra Gall is leading the tournament there at the moment at 11 under par after a 64 and a 69, and that's from Sun Young Yu, who shot a pair of 68s for 8 under par, 3 shots behind. Looking at Lydia Ko, a pair of 71s tied for 23rd, and other Australians there. Kari Webb tied for 26 after a 70 and a 73. In the V8 Supercars at Phillip Island, Alex Davidson leading the timesheets after practice session 3, and a good half a second, or 0.6 of a second actually, ahead of Alexander Pramat, Craig Lowndes, Jason Bright, and Mark Winterbottom and Will Davidson. We've got practice session 4 coming up with probably about half an hour left to go in the show, so we might even be able to give you some figures as we get towards the end of the show on that one. And finally, Mark Webber's final race this weekend in Formula One. We are at Interlagos for the final race of the season. Brazilian Grand Prix, practice session 2 was a wet couple of sessions, but Nico Rosberg leading the timesheets, about 0.2 of a second ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber. And Heikki Kovalainen staking his claim for a better drive there for the Lotus Renault in a 4th spot from Lewis Hamilton. That pretty much brings you up to date.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that, Darren. Just a quick one from Lee there.
Boys, I've sat here and listened to all of these sports stories and sports scores overnight, and last night I was intrigued on Fox Sports 2. Premier League Bowls.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. It was Premier League Bowls. The Brisbane Gold, in the final bowl of the competition, beat the Adelaide Endurance, who are on a power play.
The Adelaide Endurance.
To try and win the competition. $40,000 to the winner.
Amazing.
$20,000 for second, and it came down to the final bowl. It was intriguing and
Captivating.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
How have the Perth prune juice been going?
Didn't see the Perth Prune Juice play at all. I saw the Kiwis play. They're up against Adelaide in one of the deals, but it was a 4-day competition. And the crowd was rocking, boys. That's all I'm going to say. And the Brisbane Gold got up.
And to our 101 FM audience, we know we're so dead.
Just a reminder, the 101 FM will be holding a sausage sizzle outside Office Works at Compton Road this Saturday, the 23rd of November from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. Come along and enjoy a delicious snack and a drink, and say hello to the 101 FM team, the 101 FM barbecue team, I should say. The bacon, egg, and onion rolls are particularly popular, I'm told. Supporting the community, 101 FM and Officeworks. We'll take a break here on SportsScene. We'll come back, we'll talk some cricket. We'll get Chris Swan from the Queensland Bulls on the phone to talk through the Ashes and the Sheffield Shield. So stay with us.
Need tyres and need them today? No worries. Coleman Tyres Slacks Creek sponsor is open till 2. No need to book in, just drive in to Coleman Tyres, 18 Moss Street, Slacks Creek.
You, the one who just tossed that cigarette butt out the window of your car. Yeah, you. What? You think that cigarette will go out as soon as it hits the road? Tell me you're not that stupid. Look, too many bushfires start with a match or that bunch of smouldering leaves you just threw out the window. Let's prevent some fires for a change. Don't be a tosser. Use the ashtray in your car. A message from Queensland Fire and Rescue.
Join the 101 FM Supporters Club today and be in this month's prize draw, plus enjoy future discounts on 101 FM ticketed events and merchandise. For just $10 per year, you can become part of the 101 FM family. Phone 38088 101 and join the 101 FM Supporters Club now.
It was heartbreaking when we first found out our baby boy had cataracts, but Vision Australia has been able to reassure us from the start. Sensitivity to glare, depth perception and visual fatigue are his daily challenges. Vision Australia has helped us to face these challenges to give Sam the best possible start in life.
Help Vision Australia support children like Sam. Call 1300 84 7466.
Life. Life is for living. So live it. Life. Life is for giving. So give it. Giving blood is cool. Needing it isn't. Red Cross. Give a little. Life is for living. Life is for giving. Help save lives. Please give blood.
This is our home. This is our place. Whatever we do for tomorrow. Driving around, don't use the ground. Do the right thing, use the right bin. Keep Queensland beautiful. Keep it up, do the right thing. Keep Queensland beautiful. Keep it up, do the right thing.
101 FM.
This is Saturday Sports Scene on 101 FM.
Good to see you, sir. Welcome back to Sports Scene here on 101 FM. Kevin Braysher, Darren Madigan, Chris Chard, Lee Hanatscheck and Craig Crowley all here with you. Time to talk some cricket, guys. First of all, let's talk about the results from yesterday. Australia none for 65 at stumps on day 2. A lead of 224. They posted 295 in their first innings, but then bowled out England for 136. An amazing run there. They got them 6 for 9 at one point, ripping through the middle order, guys. What was the thought process watching the cricket yesterday and going through this all?
Look, it's amazing, you know, like we've seen the Australian cricket side, I suppose, been in the doldrums for quite some time, guys, haven't we? And it's really exciting and to see that they've just... for starters, they fought their way back out of it, and they've been renowned for doing that, haven't they, in the way of especially Haddon, especially, Siddle's done it occasionally. We've had Mitchell Johnson, and we've had our tail end held up. It's still a problem. It's still a problem, though, with the fact that our main batting lineup aren't making the runs.
The middle order, mate, they're great, aren't they? The middle order, you know, they're batsmen. 5, 6, 7, 8, they're batsmen.
Yeah, look,
all about the cricket, not just the Ashes, but the Sheffield Shield as well. Mr. Chris Swan from the Queensland Bulls. Chris, welcome to the show.
How you going this morning, fellas?
Very good, thanks, mate. It's great to have you here. Of course, now we're just talking, first of all, with the Ashes yesterday, an incredible second day for the Aussies, especially the Australian bowlers, mate. For yourself, of course, former bowler yourself, current bowling coach at the Bulls, mate. How heartening was it to see the performance of guys like Mitchell Johnson, Ryan Harris, Nathan Lyon yesterday? The performance of those guys was incredible.
Yeah, they really stepped up to the plate, didn't they? And it was always going to be on the cards, I think, in the first. And it's been built up that much this series, and having Mitch bowl, 145 rocket at Blake's head is never comfortable facing, and the other bowlers just complemented perfectly.
Absolutely, mate. Look, we saw Stuart Broad took 6 wickets in the first innings as well. What are your thoughts on the pitch itself, mate? Do you think it's a bowler's pitch, or have the batsmen got an opportunity to make some runs today?
No, the heartening thing about bowling at the Gabba is there's always bounce. So whilst there was not a lot of sideways movement, whenever you're a bowler, you like to see that little bit of extra bounce and pace. And it's definitely a nice batting pitch yesterday and today. I think the boys just really stepped up to the plate yesterday.
The other thing about it too, Chris, is like you've noticed the bowlers that have taken wicket, but I reckon Settle's job just to really just persevere, keep it tight at one end. He went for very minimal runs. We knew Mitchell Johnson was, could be a little bit erratic and they can score off him, but he's so dangerous. But I reckon Settle's performance, unrewarded, was pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I said, they complement each other. Mitch is always going to leak a few runs, but you take that. He's almost like a good leg spinner, You can, like taking Warney aside, he only went for like 2 and over. You can always give up a few at the risk of taking some wickets. So the bloke's job at the other end, as Siddle was doing yesterday, to keep the squeeze on and keep it tight is just as crucial. Yeah, that's right. Bowling in partnerships is just as important as batting in partnerships.
And it was interesting to see at the end of it when they interviewed Harris that it was a situation where they spoke about sticking to what they believe in, their process they had in place, individualising every batsman, and just being persistent and sticking to the job. And it's good that they, everyone probably looks at it the outside and looks at it and probably thinks, oh, just bowl and get them out. Well, it's not a case of that. It's a case of sticking to the, and working on the weaknesses, whether they have to bowl a shorter line or a fuller line to some batsmen, whether they work them outside the off stump or down leg side, whatever the case may be. There was really good, a planned bowling attack by the sounds of it.
It was, and that's part and parcel of first-class cricket and Test cricket. Currently, the video analysis of the opposition players. So every batsman that comes out to bat, there might be a different field set. There's definitely different bowling plans, and that worked yesterday. I think that Clark's intuition with that the left-hand batsman for England when Mitch came around the wicket, that was just almost like a spur-of-the-moment thing, and that's just a brilliant bit of captaincy, I think. But the rest of them, the boys just, as Rhino said, he obviously had their plans before they went in, and they were very disciplined in executing them, and it paid off.
Absolutely. Look, Darren, I'll bring you in here, mate. Look, this is something you and I talked about yesterday, and Chris, I'll get your thoughts on this as well. The way the Australian bowlers were always attacking, even towards the tail enders, mate. Darren, tell us about the situation with the tail enders and the way guys like Mitchell Johnson were bowling to them and your thoughts on it.
Oh, look, I think they were spot on. I mean, look, it's Test cricket. I mean, as we discussed, there's no such thing as protecting people anymore. They were saying in the commentary at one stage, and this is the thing that really got to me, they were talking about Broad and Tremlett, and they actually showed some pictures of Broad at one stage and said, this is the way it's going. Oh, look how short that is. Bear in mind, though, he is a tail ender. What? The guy averages nearly 25 and he's got a top score of 169. When did that constitute a tail ender in cricket? I just couldn't cop that. I mean, Broad gives as good as he gets. He will probably try and go out there when Johnson's batting again and do exactly the same thing. And that's what, top level sport is all about. And it was just great to see. Once Johnson, something clicked yesterday with Johnson because he started off fairly ordinary, but he obviously came out with a lot of confidence after that 64 with the bat. And he's come out, he's clicked, and a left armour, I mean, it doesn't matter what level of cricket you play at, and I know as a coach you'll appreciate this, Chris, a left armour, one of the big problems lefties have when they're bowling to right-handers is they can fall away, especially when they're trying to bowl faster. Sometimes if you get them to come over the wicket, they stand taller at the delivery stride at the crease, and all of a sudden everything comes together and they're swinging the ball, and he had a beautiful shape there yesterday, and when you're doing that at 145 k's an hour, how do you play it?
Yeah, well, thankfully I never got to face Mitch in a game. I faced him in the nets a few times. Him and Dirk Nunners were sort of similar sort of pace, but it's not fun coming at you. And you're right, you give those bowlers give as good as they get. So when it's their turn to bat, they got to face some music as well, and it was great to watch.
Plus, we've got to remember England had those new batting helmets, so they were pretty safe.
What was going on there?
How good did those things look? I was thinking they looked like a time trial at a velodrome, so they worked pretty well there because they were pretty quick to get out. So
They look like one for you, Darren. Look like something out of Doctor Who. That's what they look like to me. It's unbelievable.
Easy on the dinosaur.
It's funny though, Chris. I mean, you've obviously been playing a long time. I mean, they've tried to change the shape and the style of the Albion helmet down through the years, but it's always failed, hasn't it? We always go back to the original.
Yeah, they've had a few cracks at it. There's a few other brands in there now. I know Missouri's making a few helmets these days, but Albion have tried to get sort of up five and upbeat with it, but every time they produce the new prototype to the players, we sort of have a bit of a giggle, Yeah, it's not meant to be a fashion statement. It's meant to protect your head from the cruet. So, look, whatever works.
That's it. Look, there's 3 days left in this Test match, Chris. The Aussies in a very strong position now. They lead by 224 coming into the third day. They're none for 65. The opener's going strong at the moment. It's been a long time since the Australian team has won a Test match. What are they going to do now in these next 3 days to ensure that they don't let this opportunity slip and they win this Test match?
Well, I can tell you, Buff will be talking. All we'll be talking about is the next ball, and the first hour this morning will just be about getting in. I mean, they won't be looking too far ahead. They're aware that this English team is far too experienced and has been far too successful over the previous few years to let them get off the hook again, and they will as soon as they need. It's just to shift the momentum. That's all they need. So the Aussies want to start well. Keep the Pommies out in the field for as long as possible, just to accrue a nice total. And it'll be the words going through the batting camp will be if you think the Poms are cooked, cook them some more. We want a big lead. We want to make it out of their hands of chasing the second total and second innings total, and hopefully the bowlers can ram it home. But really, it's just about batsmen getting in and accruing a nice little lead again.
Chris, there's a couple of things that's probably important here. Firstly, getting in there now and making some runs in this second dig obviously is going to set a fairly good platform for the rest of the season and the rest of the series. So that's probably important to make sure you really do bury them and, beat them mentally. In saying that, you talked about this sort of they need a lot of runs. What sort of amount of runs do they need to be ahead? And how much time given do they sort of need to get them out again?
Yeah, well, I don't think weather will come into it. I mean, it'd be nice if we could all have a little weatherman in our back pocket to know when that's coming. So that won't be spoken about much. But look, I think it'll be, what do we got, another 3 days to go. I reckon we'd definitely like to keep them in the field all day today, maybe even a bit of tomorrow. And really it's not just about this Test match as well. It would be great to win this Test and also grind their bowlers down, even pick up a few little niggles in their bowlers from just doing extra work. The Gabba can be quite heavy on the legs because it's all sand-based, and I noticed the outfield is a little bit thicker than usual, so the bowlers will be hurting having to bowl every day of this Test match, which hopefully those Pommies will have to do. So, look, in terms of setting a total, you'd be loving to think you'd be up around the 500 mark.
Yep.
Even more, make it completely out of their reach, with still, maybe 1 3/4 days to go. It'd be lovely to have that sort of challenge ahead of the Pommy batsmen.
Absolutely, mate. Well, the Australians will resume at none for 65 on day 3 of the first Ashes Test at the Gabba later on today, leading by 224. 3 full days to go. You're listening to Sports Scene here on 101 FM. Kevin Braysher, Darren Madigan, Craig Crowley, Chris Chard, Lee Hanatscheck, and on the phone with us, Chris Swan. Yeah, it's a jam-packed panel today. We're talking some cricket. Mate, we got you on the phone now. Let's talk a little bit of Sheffield Shield, mate. The Bulls, they're in action against New South Wales at the moment down there at the SCG. Plenty of rain impacting the first day. New South Wales finishing at 3 for 140, mate. What's your thoughts on this game heading into the final 3 days of this one and how the boys are going?
Yeah, I know that we picked up an injury. Gale was opening the bowling yesterday. Well, he'll be out for 6 weeks. So that's going to hurt us. We're already a bowler down. So James Hopes and Michael Ness will have to bear the brunt of the bowling unit now. Spinners, though, Horry and Cameron Boyce have been bowling well. we got off to a nice start. They put a bit of partnership on Ben Rohrer and also Ryan Carter. So I think there's a bit of weather around there down at the moment. But if we can bowl New South Wales out for around the 300, that keeps us well and truly in the game.
Absolutely. Will there be time with the rain affected and the rest of it, just the 4-day format here? How's the amount of time in terms of going for the win in this match, mate? Do you think there's enough time there?
Yeah, look, that's the beauty of the Shield competition is that most teams are looking to get 6 points, not 2. So there's often a declaration or two in those Shield games, particularly that have been weather affected. I'm sure we definitely need the 6 points. We've only got 2 points from our first 2 games this season. New South Wales playing in their own backyard, they want to play for 6 points as well. So we just need to keep them close in this first innings. It's going to be tough to bowl them out to get 20 wickets without a bowl, without one of our quicks. But with James Hopes there, he's the evergreen, tried and true Queenslander with a couple of good spinners up his sleeves. We just need to take the chances when they come.
That's it. Look, mate, you alluded to it just before. Currently, you're sitting on a total of 2 points there from the first few games, sitting down in 5th spot at the moment. How's it been so far, the first few weeks of the season, mate? I know there's been some injury troubles and the rest of it for the Bulls, but how are you guys travelling after that first month or so of the competition?
Yeah, I won't lie. It's been pretty tough for the boys. A lot of them went to India with the Champions League, and then we came to Sydney for the Rugby Cup and had 3 weeks of really good cricket there and came away with a title. And straight from the Rugby Cup, the boys went to Adelaide to play Glenelg in a Shield game that was just a real dour battle, and then straight back up to Albion, where we played another Shield game against New South Wales, and now this is the flip one where we go down to Sydney. So it's been full on. A couple of the boys have had a few newborn babies in the time that haven't had much chance to spend with them, so it's been quite taxing that way. But that's part and part of professional cricket at this moment. You just got to roll with the punches, and the beauty of having a deep squad like ours is that when we do have Australian representatives like Ryan Harris, and we get Ben Cutting gets told to be rested, we've got to keep players cycling through. But it also allows a chance for grade cricketers throughout the Brisbane grade competition, if they're performing at the right time, to come and have a training session with the Bulls. The selectors are always got their eyes out for the next up-and-comer, or even just older blokes that have had that experience and are performing consistently. So I know that selectors have definitely got their eyes out on the next batch of players to come through and help with the workloads, that's for sure.
Yeah, Chris, finally, mate, and just very quickly, for a lot of people who don't know, you're the bowling coach for the Bulls, which is tremendous in itself, but you're also coaching at Surfers Paradise in the local level. Mate, can you just give us a quick rundown of how it's all going down at the local level?
Yeah, Surfers are going along all right. They haven't had much success over the last 5 or 6 years, so it's where I started my cricket. I went back there. There's a good bunch of blokes there playing in a good local comp that everyone gets along and has a bit of fun, and it's definitely not sheep station sort of stuff, but I enjoy putting something back in at grassroots level where it all started. It's good fun.
Absolutely, mate. Well, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We'll let you get going. We understand you're on your way to the Test match today, so I hope you have a good, fun day and hope we'll see some great cricket there, mate. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Chris Swan, thanks a lot, mate.
Good on you, fellas.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Money.
We'll take the break here on SportzScene. We'll come back. We'll talk some rugby league. Stay with us on 101 FM. It doesn't make it any less exciting for me personally as a rugby league fan, especially looking forward to this England versus New Zealand game. Chris, how do you see this one going? First of all, England, how they all got here. England second in Pool A and a 34-6 win over France in the quarters. New Zealand first in Pool B and a 40-4 win over Scotland in the quarters. Mate, how do you see this one going? It should be a good game of football.
Yeah, really looking forward to it, mate. There were always big games when the English played the New Zealanders, and funny thing is, New Zealand don't have a great record in England as of late. I think it's since 2005 they haven't won a game there, which, considering how good the Kiwis have done in that time period, winning a World Cup as well as a Four Nations tournament, quite surprising there. So it's anyone's game, really.
Absolutely. And look, the Kiwis have been in incredible form. They've scored 40 points or more in every game so far this tournament, and they haven't leaked many either. So maybe it's time for them to break that run.
Yeah, look, some people are saying they've had a soft run in, but which could hurt them a little bit more than the English. But yeah, look, it will be interesting to see if they can fire in that last game.
So as an Aussie, who should we be supporting in this game there?
Yeah, look, I had an article about this on the Raw yesterday, that very topic, and yeah, look, how do you split them? And New Zealand's had a funny year. Their football team fell at the final hurdle in the World Cup qualifying, 9-3 to Mexico, and their sailing team, of course, we know, choked in the America's Cup. So we've got to feel a little bit sorry for them. But yeah,
Really?
it's hard to split them. New Zealand have got a lot of likeable young up-and-coming players, and the English team has got a lot of big, niggling sort of players. So I think most Australians will be leaning towards supporting the Kiwis here.
Well, here's the question I'll ask you then, sort of a follow-up to that one. Australia expected to go through Fiji pretty comfortably and go straight through to the final. Who would Australia be more troubled playing against? Like, which team could cause Australia more troubles in the final, England or New Zealand?
Well, on form, you'd probably say New Zealand, because New Zealand has been playing the better out of them in England. However, there is the crowd factor there of England. We've went for the final. Just looking through some of the the matchups for this England-New Zealand game, we've got Sean Johnson versus Kevin Sinfield, Isaac Luke versus James Roby, Kevin Locke versus Sam Tompkins. Now, Sam Tompkins is going to join the Warriors next year, so that's almost a battle for fullback spot at the Warriors. Sonny Bill Williams versus Sam Burgess.
That's a cracker, that one.
Ben Westwood versus Jared Wahira-Hargraves, the battle of the brain explosions.
Battle of the penalties.
Tuiasa versus Ryan Hall, who's the leading try scorer at this tournament. So some great matchups there. Interestingly enough, Rangi Chase has been dropped from the English side in favour of Garrett Widdop, and he's absolutely spat the dummy here. He's gone home from camp and not home to New Zealand, mind you, but he's gone home from camp and he's not a happy man. And funnily enough, a former English Rugby League 5'8", Kyle Eastman, who now plays English Rugby Union, also went home at halftime during a game. So I don't know, maybe they can draft Eastman into the side straight away. So he's coming back to Rugby League apparently. So.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Chris, just on that, mate, you've got obviously some people going in and out there. The one really significant that I'm a little bit baffled by, Brent Tate more or less gets omitted from the side and he gets brought back for a semi-final. Obviously a few injuries in the side, and I understand that. They bring him in just to leave him out in the final. If he plays well, does he get a gig if they get through? Look, I just don't know the situation because he was dropped out of the lineup, out of the list. And now he's been brought back in. Is it a reprieve? Does he get a chance if he plays well? Does he get a game if they make the final?
Yeah, look, Tim Sheen's the Australian coach, has shown that pretty much horses for courses here. So I don't think he'd be afraid to play Brent Tate in the final. If Slater comes back and Inglis moves back to the centres. So I think he's shown that he's happy to sort of switch and change around a bit. One of the interesting stories out of Australia playing Fiji is that Jared Hayne was all set to play for Fiji because he didn't think he'd get a run in the Australian team. But one of his conditions for playing for Australia was that he had to have a decent chance in the pool matches to show what he's capable of and that he'd be able to play in that centres position as well. So, yeah, look, there has been a bit of chopping and changing, and that's probably both England and Australia have moved their teams around a lot, while New Zealand not so much. They've moved Josh Hoffman out of the side. I don't know if Josh Hoffman's got a massive snoring problem because any side he plays for, they seem to want to get rid of him, despite being a fantastic player. And the English side have chopped and changed around their halves. But, yeah, look, I think Tate's probably a good one for this game, a physical game against the Fijians tonight.
Well, before we move on to the Australian-Fiji, mate, let's just finish up the discussion there with the England-New Zealand game. Firstly, on Rangi Chase, mate, right call, wrong call to leave him out of the side because he's been a fixture of that side for quite a while. Yeah,
look, I think it's the right call, mate. I think Widdop at 5'8", a little bit more class there. They've got enough of those quick guys around the ruck. If they play, well, they've got Roby, obviously, but they might play Burrow off the bench as well. I just think having him in the lines, he's a bit of a target there. I believe Rangi Chase. Plus, there's a lot of passion when he plays in New Zealand. Last time he played against New Zealand, Isaac Luke tried to break his leg. And they're cousins actually. So right. I mean, I think they're better off leaving him out there. And I think Widdop's going to be trying to hit Ryan Hall in the chest out wide, and that's what you want.
What about a tip for this one, mate? My personal opinion is I don't think England can touch them. I think New Zealand will go through. I think they'll win by 10 to 12. 10 plus.
Look,
personally.
I'm actually leaning towards England. The closer it gets to kick-off, the more I just think about that stat of New Zealand not winning in England. New Zealand have that softer sort of run through. 70,000 people cheering on one team in a big stadium. It's pretty hard to counter, and I think England have had a bit of a shabby start, but I think they're warming up, and I think Ryan Hall a couple of tries, and I think they might get there. It'll be a battle in the forwards, won't it, mate? But two massive forward packs going at it. Yeah, look, two Kiwis probably got the best forward pack in the competition, and the English obviously have a lot of Burgesses, mate. So it'll be fire. It's going to be interesting to see who can keep their temper. If it gets niggly and people start getting thrown out, could be an interesting one, mate. But still, I'm just picking English, not by much, maybe by 2 or 4 points, mate, on the back of some goal kicking.
Well, we'll see how it goes there. England up against New Zealand. That'll be tonight. 10:30 the coverage starts Queensland time if you want to watch that one. And then straight after that, Australia up against Fiji. This one, Billy Slater moves out of the side through injury. I would expect Greg Inglis there to move to fullback. And we'll take a quick look through what the rest of the side will be. Darius Boyd, Brett Morris will be on the wings again after Brett Morris 4 tries last week against the USA. Brent Tate, Jared Hayne be in the centres. Thurston and Cronk in the halves. Front row, Matty Scott, Cameron Smith, James Tarmow. Back row, Sam Thaiday, Greg Bird, Paul Gallen. Pretty standard starting lineup there, what we've come to expect throughout the rest of the tournament. Then we got the rest of the squad. Will be probably Cherry Evans, Fafita, Parker, and then Papali there making up 17 from last week, unless Nate Miles can force his way into the side, mate. Can you see anything different happening in the Australian lineup there?
No, I'm a big fan of Nate Miles, mate. But I think they will go with Papali there, have a bit more firepower on the bench there. Fiji being a big sort of bustling sort of side, and Fiji have said they can't play like they've been playing all tournament. They've got a chance their arm against the Australians. It's been a big week for Fiji Rugby League. They've secured another $4 million from Vodafone over there in Fiji, and there's big things happening there. We talk about the Polynesian revolution in the NRL and how Polynesians have come on in the last decade. Well, now it's time of the Melanesians, mate. It's going to be Fiji, and with the PNG team coming into the Q Cup, it's going to be Fiji players and PNG players soon. So I think they're going to do great things to rugby league, and they've cemented themselves as the 4th best rugby league nation. So great things happening there in Fiji.
Absolutely. As you say, it's the second World Cup in a row. They've come all the way through to the semi-finals. There's some talk now that they feel they should be automatic into the 4 nations for next year and beyond that. Look, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, for years we've been thinking Tonga or Samoa, and they just haven't been able to make it. We've had PNG make it through. Yeah, look, they just haven't been able to get there, and I think Fiji have earned the right. There's also a few other good Fiji players coming through the grades there as well. So, yeah, I'd give it to them, but maybe we need to bring back a better Pacific Cup as well.
It's quite interesting to see the United States do exceptionally well in this tournament, and that's great to see for rugby league. But there's a lot of talk going over in England that it's a bit of a what's the best word for it? A higgledy-piggledy type competition, in the fact that they're going out, they're having a drink, they're not really embracing this sort of situation. And when you do look at the competition, there is the elite 3 sides up the top. There's a good middle group, which seems to be the Islanders, and then you fall away with other teams that just wants to play. I fully understand that you've got to have these competitions to make it grow, the sport grow. Is there just too much distance between the groups? It should be a qualification type thing for the better sides to get in? Should you shorten the groups, or just leave it what it is and just leave them and keep it going? Because, obviously there's been some scandal. And there is, like I said, there was talk about it, having a game and having a drink, and it's pretty much a party time over there until it gets to the back end of the competition.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're not the Wallabies, so, I mean, they've been doing too bad over there. They've only lost a couple there, but, yeah, look, I think it's almost on purpose thing by the Australians, in that, they've had a long season, it's a long tournament, it's hard to, pull players away and then take them to the north of England to play a lot of rugby league. And it's a long season, so they like to keep it fairly relaxed, I think, and, when they do have a lot of depth to play against teams who really, they're expected to beat, they will take things a bit more relaxed. But I think when it builds into this, the showpiece matches of the tournament, they will be taking it as seriously as every other game, because the history of Australian rugby league is a very, very, very successful one, and they don't want to leave another blemish on that. Guys, you got to think, guys like Cameron Smith haven't won a World Cup.
Yeah.
Can you really see his resume being finished without a World Cup win? I mean, it'd be a pretty big blot on his record. So, yeah, look, it's going to post a healthy profit this World Cup. I think it needs to be invested in the right channels, and hopefully they have a good structure for the next 4 years leading up to the next one.
I agree, mate. And we saw a good example of what the World Cup means to, I guess, these lesser quote-unquote nations. With Jared Hayne, the response he got, there was an article during the week saying that the World Cup's a waste of time, we shouldn't be there. And Jared Hayne talking about the impact it's had for Fiji in rugby league over the last few years. And you talked about it just before, the big grant that they had from Vodafone and all that, and how far they've come as a result of the interest they've sparked from the World Cup.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I remember I went to the Gold Coast IOB Sevens a couple of years ago, sat in the press box there, and there was only half a dozen people in the press box at the start of it, who were there the whole time, and it was me and 5 Fijian blokes. And that's because Fiji does really good at rugby union sevens. Now, if you get them, now that they're doing good at rugby league, they're going to obviously, jump onto that as well. But, Tonga wins a game, has a street parade, sort of thing. So, what might not be a big deal to us is a big deal, to some of these other countries. Yep. So, Cook Island's winning their first ever game, the biggest ever rugby league crowd in Wales, the biggest rugby league crowd ever in Ireland. They look like small steps on the outside, but we're a very big fish here, we've got to remember. So, yeah, it all takes a bit of perspective.
Exactly right. Look, we'll leave it there for that one. The doubleheader tonight, the semi-finals, will be from 10:30 Queensland time there. It'll be from Wembley Stadium, 70-odd thousand there. One of the best stadiums in the world. It'll be absolutely terrific spectacle, the Rugby League World Cup semi-finals, and the final at Old Trafford, which is a sellout already. That'll be next week. So we'll take the break here on Sports Scene. We'll be back right after this. We'll be here to talk a little bit of A-League football. Socceroo is also in action this week, so stay with us on 101 FM.
Life is for living, so live it. Life is for giving, so give it. Giving blood is cool, needing it isn't. Red Cross. Give a little. Life is for living. Life is for giving. Help save lives. Please give blood.
RSPCA needs volunteers to become animal heroes. 1300 Animal Heroes. Wildlife transport officers, wildlife carers and veterinarians are needed to help tens of thousands of native animals who are injured across the state. The central telephone number to call is 1300 264 265. 1300 Animal Heroes. Or log on to rspcaqld.org.au for more information.
Remember When with Richard Davey, bringing you golden musical memories from the 1920s to the late 50s every Sunday from 1 p.m. on 101 FM.
Hi, Steve Karen Lawyers. Got a superannuation claim? We'll act for you. No win, no fee, no litigation loans. We're independent of insurers or unions. Call 1300 Lawyer. Put it in your phone or go to karenlawyers.com.au.
Your station sponsor, 101 FM.
And now it's back to Saturday Sports Scene on 101 FM.
Welcome back to Sports Scene here on 101 FM. Kevin Braysher, Darren Madigan, Lee Hanatscheck, Craig Crowley, Chris Chard, all here with you. 10 minutes to 9. Your next Fresh News update coming up at the top of the hour. It's now time to talk some football. Darren Madigan, the Socceroos were in action this week. A 1-0 win over Costa Rica during the week. Mate, what do you think of that?
Yeah, action's probably a subjective word given the state of the match. Look, it wasn't the most exciting game we've played, but it was an important match to see where everybody was, and obviously the first match under Ange's reign, and a bit came out of it. Obviously, some positive, some negative. The negative, we'll get it out of the way right now with Lucas Neal. He was booed by sections of the crowd, or a section of the crowd. He realised he took it personally, because he felt that it was being directed straight at him. And he had a bit of a crack at them. And, hey, you know what? And when he explained everything too, I mean, after everything that he's been through in recent times as a top-level player, yes, I know you shouldn't have a go back at them and all that sort of stuff. And everybody's jumping up and being holier than thou, even David Gallop. But you know what? He's human. And everything that he's been through lately, he was about to lose the captaincy of his beloved nation and all that sort of stuff. And he went out, he played well without playing great. He played well, and he cracked at one moment, and then he got on with it. And it was, if the cameras hadn't have been focusing on him at the time, nothing would have been said of it. So this is one of the very few times where I'd say to a player, just let him get on with it.
To a degree, I agree with that. But at the same time, mate, we think back a few years ago when the Melbourne Storm were done with their salary cap scandal, and everywhere they went, they were getting called cheats, and people were screaming at them. I don't remember Cameron Smith ever going off at a crowd member for calling him a cheat.
Yeah, but
he's also the Australian captain. I think the Australian captain has to be held at a different standard.
Yeah,
But if they're playing for Australia and you're getting booed when
by your own fans,
by your own fans,
Fair point. Look, I'm not defending the fans. I think it's.
I've only ever seen that happen once before. I've only ever seen Australian fans boo a team once before, and that was I was sitting in the crowd at the Gabba. Sorry, not the Gabba, at Lang Park, and this was a few years ago when the Wallabies were playing Wales. And they came off in the first half, and the crowd was actually booing, and I'd never seen it before. And that's how shocking it is. You just don't expect to see or hear that. Not Aussies booing Aussies.
I understand that, but I still don't know if I can give the Australian captain a full pass for going off.
Leighton Hewitt
Australian captain can't do it.
Leighton Hewitt had a good one a few years ago. The stupidity of the Australian spectator. He endeared himself to lots of people there, and Bernard Tomic had a similar sort of thing this week.
Let's not get bogged down to it. I mean, I'm not saying he should have a full pass at all.
I'm not trying to make a big deal of it either.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is that maybe we should cut him a little bit of slack. Yes, he did the wrong thing, and he probably needs to go out there and not say, I'm not going to apologise for it, blah, blah, blah. He probably should have been a bit more contrite about it and just said, look, I shouldn't have done it.
Fair enough. All right, well, the game itself, mate, as you say, the first game with Ange Postecoglou as the coach of the Socceroos, mate. What do you think of the direction of the side at the moment?
So far, not too bad. I mean, we're all worried about Mark Bresciano at the moment. It's a big, massive worry. If he gets that ban in place, I'm not sure how it's going to affect him coming up to June next year, because I think it's only a 4-month ban or something like that. $2 million though, that hurts in the pocket. That's nothing to sneeze at. But something's happened somewhere. Somebody hasn't filled out paperwork. Something's gone terribly wrong. And somebody in the room somewhere has said this Australian player, he hasn't transferred properly or whatever, and bang, he's gone. So they played him anyway this week because it was only a friendly. But I must admit we're all worried about it because we need Bresciano in the midfield. He is a great player.
Something under the table going along with the way of the transfer in soccer. I wouldn't believe that at all, Darren. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, one thing I'll say about FIFA is they don't muck around with a lot of this sort of stuff. They'll even pull whole countries away from major tournaments if, say the government's getting in the way of the football, that sort of thing, like they've done with Greece previously. Greece at one stage was a Euro Championship winner, and they actually pulled them out of international football for a while because the government was getting in the way of the Football Association. So, I kind of like at times the way FIFA go about doing things. I think we could learn a lot from it in our domestic competitions, but especially when it comes to playing representative football. But look, Rogic was okay as well coming back from Celtic. Great to see Timmy Cahill scoring. I mean, we weren't sure how injured he was. He was obviously good enough to play the game. And once again, the scoring mode was with his head, as it usually is. And it was nice to see Mitchell Langerak keep a clean sheet as well, now that we don't have Schwarzer playing anymore. So all in all, not a bad performance. It wasn't a great game of football, but not a bad way to get started.
Just quickly, Darren, has there been a more popular coach than Ange Postecoglou since Gus got us to
Aussie Gus?
Yeah, Aussie Gus.
I'll take a lot to get past Aussie Gus, but look, really, the guy's got such a pedigree. I mean, if you do a bit of research on it, because a lot of people don't realise just how long this guy and how successful he has been. He's even coached overseas in Greece, but he's been with our youth programs. He's had huge amount of success. He's won championships, multiple championships in the old NSL, and now he's won them in the A-League as well. This guy's a class act and probably the best coach this country's ever produced.
All right, that's it for the Socceroos for now. Obviously, with more of it coming up, we're very excited about the direction of them under Ange. Let's talk about some A-League now. And a team Ange used to coach, the Brisbane Roar, now at the top of the ladder after a 3-1 win over the Western Sydney Wanderers last night. Terrific win for him. Mate, Bursa Barisha was missing for a few weeks, but he made an immediate impact coming back last night. It took him just under 5 minutes to score the goal and get things going for the Roars. A terrific win for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, all they're missing now to be at full strength, I think, is Stefanuto, if memory serves. But Borussia in the 5th minute, Franjic around 19, and right at the end, Yabal. They did let that one in I mentioned earlier in the show, which wouldn't have made a coach very, very happy seeing the way it was scored. But, gee, you know what? 3-1, you take the 3 points, you go to the top of the ladder and say thank you very much, especially when you're playing the Western Sydney Wanderers. Crowd was good, 19,000 at Suncorp, so I think they'll take that at the moment. And you will probably see that crowd moving up around to 25, 26,000 as the Roar, if they manage to hold on to that top position. Brisbane really loves seeing Brisbane doing well in soccer, and they tend to come when they're winning, come along when they're winning. So looking forward to seeing what happens there. But look, I'm really liking the way Brisbane are playing at the moment. They've done most of it down on players. Now they're starting to get their injured stars back. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle some of these other teams over the next few weeks and what sort of score lines we end up with.
That's been the biggest thing, hasn't it, mate? Like the fact they've been somewhat under strength, yet still winning games, still hanging around the top of the ladder. And they're going to be a real force this year.
Well, I think so. And I mean, you know, it's not crazy to say now after 7 games they're genuine premiership contenders. And, you know, we won't worry about the grand final because that's another thing again. But, you know, to finish near the top of the ladder, you wouldn't be going past them and Western Sydney and maybe even Newcastle at the moment. So, yeah, I'm really liking the way the Brisbane Roar are playing.
Sure thing, mate. All right, let's scoot through some tips for the rest of this round. Sydney FC up against Wellington Phoenix, Allianz Stadium this afternoon, 4:30pm our time.
Sydney FC against Wellington. I think it's Wellington have been a little bit better than I expected them to be, but not that much more. And I think Sydney will continue on their winning way.
At Etihad Stadium, 6:45 Queensland time. Melbourne Victory up against Adelaide United.
Oh, this is going to be a ripper. I mean,
United.
I think at the moment, you know, especially at Etihad, hopefully they'll close the roof and let them scream because that place can just go right off. Yeah, all right, Lee, Adelaide.
This will be another good one, mate. Perth Glory up against the Central Coast Mariners at NIB Stadium.
Yeah, loving it. Perth are pretty strong. Shane Smeltz is in after a bit of international duty. That will make a difference. He's very good up front. And with Vukovic and some of these other guys. Central Coast Mariners, yeah, I'm going to go for Perth.
Finally, mate, very, very quickly, Newcastle up against Melbourne Heart.
Melbourne Heart.
All right, we've got to go to the news here. We'll be back in the second hour with Jason Chaney on the phone. Stay with us.
Your station, 101 FM, with Saturday Sports Scene.
Welcome back to Sports Scene here on 101 FM. Kevin Braysher here with you, as always, taking you into the second hour of the show. We'll be with you all the way until 10 o'clock, so make sure you're sticking right here with us on 101 FM. Also joining us on the panel today, the founding father of the sports scene, Mr. Darren Madigan from theroar.com.au, Mr. Chris Chard from the Australian Karting Association, Lee Hanatscheck, and AFL Queensland Hall of Famer, Mr. Craig Crowley. And it is now time to talk a little bit of AFL. The AFL draft this week, Craig. Let us know what happened this week and bring us all up to date, mate. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, it just doesn't seem to die in the AFL. It just seems to keep going. And they had their the national draft at the convention centre in Broadbeach on the Gold Coast. And look, it pretty much went to the expectations of everyone who'd go number one. And the number one draft pick went to the GWS. Was a guy called Thomas Boyd. He's a 200-centimetre forward.
Poor guy.
But the biggest thing about it is that he's played in under-18 competition last year, no doubt, and got picked up from the Eastern Rangers. But he's 103 kilo. Like, that is a monster of a kid, you know. And he goes along with, when you look at it, the GWS and what they're trying to promote here. They've got Jeremy Cameron, who was All-Australian last year, full forward, who's come through the system. But they've also, number one draft pick last year, Jonathan Patton, who unfortunately had a knee reconstruction. He's at 197. These guys are going to have a monster forward line, and it just makes me think, can they all play at one particular time? And look, if they can, it's well and good. Whether they use them as draft baits in years to come, it's there for the picking. But GWS also had the second draft pick, and that was a midfielder, Josh Kelly from the Sandringham Dragons. And the biggest thing about this is what you can see is from the amount of drafts that come out of the Victorian under-18 competition, Lee, they had 6 in the draft all in all, and they had 3 in the top 10. So once again, it's dominated by the under-18s competition in Victoria. But there's a few there. There's one there I'd like to bring up with you. A guy's going to Brisbane, James Aish, come from Norwood. You've got a little bit of a background there.
Yeah, I mean, James Aish, he's probably bucked the trend there a little bit because he played in the SANFL. He played with Nord in their last 2 premierships, and this year led them well as in those premierships. His famous father, Michael Aish, who was an all-time legend of the SANFL.
Probably known for his headgear more so than anything else.
Yeah, could play as well. Yep. Played for the red and blue side, Nord. I mean, certainly Aish would have been tipped to be, a little bit higher up in the draft as well, all tips. But, years gone by, you'd see the draft, the top 10 or top 15 draft picks, they'll be dominated by basically South Australian and West Australian players. Now, you've got a Tasmanian there at 5.
And if you can pronounce his name, you are a dead set legend.
The 2 brothers in Cade Kardashian, we'll say. That'll do.
Kardashian.
Yeah, Kardashian, that'll do.
Bomber couldn't yesterday.
So he was hoping to actually go with his brother as well, but his brother ended up in Geelong.
Yep.
And Cade is up in the Gold Coast, I think it was. So, certainly the trend is changing. As you mentioned before, Craig, Sandringham Dragons, they had something like 8 in the draft out of their under-18 side go off. So, certainly something in the water down there.
Fish.
Fish. But, I mean, the draft hit a game. The interesting thing will be, you don't know until, 3 or 4 years down the track. I mean, we've seen some of those players come through the draft. How long since the number 1 draft pick has starred for many years? I mean, you look at guys like...
Probably going back to Nick Rewald, I suppose, who's actually gone on to be significant.
I mean, you also look at the guys who've been overlooked in the initial draft and then come through. I mean, Chris Grant, he was picked up at, I think, pick 105 or something it was. When he was picked up, gone on to be one of the all-time greats for Western Bulldogs. Hurd was 70th or something like that when he got picked up.
Simon Black.
Like they're all in that deep area, a lot of these legends, but have built into these, whereas these guys, they're great players at the moment. Let's hope they can, build on that.
Your thoughts on the draft, Darren?
I'm just, I haven't had, apart from the obvious, number 1 and 2 and 3 pick, and you're right, they are big boys. I've just had visions of people knocking at the back door of the studio. They're ex-Pat South Australians, Michael Aish fans ready to kill somebody. How many McGarry medals did his father win?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah. He was a bit of a champion. But I wonder if the son's got what it takes as well. It sounds like he's got a bit about him. But
can play as James Aish.
Yeah.
So, has started in SANFL for Nord for the last couple of years and will be a great asset to Brisbane.
Well, if he can do anything like the Corns brothers have managed out of South Australia and some of these famous families like the Williams and that, he'll be. He's got a lot to live up to, a hell of a lot to live up to. But I saw some footage yesterday of Boyd and a few of the other boys on the Gold Coast there walking along the beach, and geez, they breed them big now at 17, 18 years of age, don't they?
Yeah, well, they do. And looking also through the draft, there's only one father-son, and that goes to Luke McDonald, who went to the Kangaroos. Donald McDonald, who's involved with the I think he's still involved as a coach.
I think he stepped down, mate. I think when his boy was starting to look really good, and this is quite a few months ago now, when his boy was starting, he did the right thing, I think, and stepped back a bit.
Yeah. So that's the only notable father-son that's really there. Interesting to see that Hawthorn took a bit of a punt. A guy by the name of Dale Garlett, known for his larrikinism, I suppose, one of a bit of a word, and his behaviour was picked to sort of go pretty high last year in the draft. Didn't get a look in, overlooked. Hawthorn have taken a bit of a punt on him, so that there's still always that chance. But once again, you've got to settle down and do the right thing. Probably what we, on the coast want to see as much as we possibly can is who actually is got in from the Gold Coast. Well, there's a couple have been elevated from rookie to the main list. Tom Bell being one, who came from Morningside, which is terrific. But there was one of the academy boys from Aspley in the Brisbane Academy, a guy called Jonathan Freeman. He's been put on the list at Brisbane, so that's terrific. And look, a real good feeling sort of situation here. A guy from Aspley played. Well, actually, I coached against him when I was coaching the under-18s at one stage there. A guy called Alia, who is Sudanese born. He is 196. He's a jack in the box type player. He's just that nimble. He went over to East Freo last year to get recognised a little bit more, and has got picked up. So it's sort of we'll take that one as a Queensland because it wasn't.
We'll claim him. Yeah, claim him.
That's in Queensland, right? Sudan.
Yeah.
So
played here.
The unfortunate thing about the whole situation is there wasn't a lot of Queenslanders in the draft. So that's sad in that aspect, but obviously there might be more in the pipeline at a younger age. One thing for the Gold Coast Suns, which probably didn't come up in the draft, is the recruitment last year of Jack Martin. They reckon he is the next best thing getting around. He played NEFL footy last year, and he's up and about, and he'll be good for the experience. But all in all, the draft pretty much went to plan. I don't think there was any smokies. There was a lot of pass because in the next couple of weeks they'll obviously have the mature age rookie.
Yeah.
They'll have the I think there's another, obviously the rookie list as well. So all that'll come into and they'll fill up their spaces accordingly. And into the new year, Kev, no doubt will do the same as what we did this year. We'll go through and see who's taken what and what players have gone and what other players have gone to other clubs just to find out the final list. So, yep, it was interesting, but it's business as usual with the AFL.
That's the one. Thanks a lot for that, Craig. We'll take a break here on SportsScene. When we come back from the break, we'll have Jason Chaney from the Logan Thunder on the phone with us. Also a reminder, later on in the show, Danielle Edwards from the Logan City Council Wildcats will be on the phone with us to talk netball. That'll be at 9:45. So stay with us right here on 101 FM. Joining us on the phone now from the Logan Thunder, Mr. Jason Chaney. Jason, welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Mate, it's always terrific to have you on the show. You're at the Logan Metro Centre this afternoon, 2 p.m, taking on Canberra. But before we get to this afternoon's game, we want to talk about the game from a couple of weeks ago against Townsville, mate. As you say, it was, as we spoke about last week when you went on with us, we talked about it. It was abandoned due to some rain damage that was coming down. It was a heavy storm that afternoon. Just fill us in, mate. You were there, of course. What actually went down that day?
It was pretty peculiar. It was a bit of a weird event. What happened, we were 2 minutes into the game, we were 9-0 down, and I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm going to have to throw a timeout here quickly because we started really poorly. Then within 5 seconds of saying that, the lights went out in the stadium, so they stopped the game, and then I said to the referees, they said, listen, it'll take a few minutes for the lights to warm up, we'll come back on. And I said to them, listen, it's raining. I mean, what do you mean it's raining? I said, stand here, it's literally raining. And what had happened is there's an area where the louvers got stuck in the stadium, and because of the storm and the wind, it was just blowing the water straight in on the court. So obviously made it unsafe. The storm went for about half an hour. At one stage, hail was on the floor. It was that bad. But obviously got to the point where it was just too unsafe, so they abandoned the game, and we've got to play it in a couple of weeks.
So tonight, if you're behind, what's your tactics tonight to stop the game? Anything in place?
I've got a little button I press, and all the lights go off, and
the roof comes
off. But I can't tell you those little secrets.
Yeah, well, thunder, lightning never strikes twice.
Hi, Jason. Darren here, mate. I'll tell you what, mate, my experience at that venue, sometimes you won't have to worry about those lights having a switch. They'll go off by themselves. But, mate, that water, did it end up getting underneath it all? Because I know there's quite a few people in the netball community as well that are quite concerned about how that floor is now.
No, it's interesting because I spoke to Gary Campbell, who's the venue manager, and he said it actually was a blessing in disguise. And I said, well, what do you mean by that, Gary? And he said, mate, if we weren't playing that day, there would have been no one at the stadium. So obviously, because there was people at the stadium, we could get on it, or the staff at the venue got onto it straight away, dried it up, soaked it up, and there was absolutely no damage at all. So the stadium's in good working order. There's no stress at all, and as I said, it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise that people were actually there and they could clean it up quickly.
Oh, that's sensational news. I know there was a lot of concern about it because obviously, as opposed to basketball, the netball girls actually have to land, stop and prop, and had visions of some pretty bad injuries coming up next season. But I'm glad they've sorted it out, mate. You guys have the Canberra Capitals today. It's a television game. on the ABC as well. If you want to see the girls play, make sure you tune into ABC 1 this afternoon. I think it's 2 o'clock this Arvo. Last time you beat them 74-59. How are they looking this time? Are Canberra any different? Do they have an AIS component like they do in some of the other sports that are based in there?
Yeah, look, they're a good team. They're very experienced. They're very big. So, across the board, we're not the biggest team, so we struggle with those larger teams, and that showed against Bendigo last week. So they've got, 3 girls out of the Institute, all sort of 6'5" plus, 196, 198 centimetres. They've got Abby Bishop coming off a couple of European seasons, Nat Hurst coming off Opal's duties and European seasons as well. So they're really they're quite a solid team. They beat Dandenong a couple of weeks ago, pushed Melbourne last week. So yeah, they're no pushovers. But the only thing that's probably going in our favour at the moment is they had a pretty tough game last night against Townsville. So I'm hoping a little bit they're a little tired, battered and bruised, and they come out a bit stiff and we can get a jump on them early.
Fair enough. How do you take them on then? I mean, do you try to take them on with their height, or do you play small ball, or how do you go against a side like Canberra?
Yeah, look, we have to play small ball because we're literally small. So we changed our offences about probably months ago, and we stretched defences a little bit further. So, when a girl's 6'6", good on the offensive end, but if you play them right, they've got to defend our smaller players, and that's not always easy. So, Hannah Zavich is going to come up against a 6'6" girl, and this 6'6" has got a defender out on the perimeter, and good luck to them defending Zav on the perimeter, and that goes across Tegan Cunningham and Emma Langford and a couple others too. So yeah, it'll be all about small ball and getting up and down the floor.
Given how hard we try and get women's sport pushed, certainly on this show down through the years and everything around, how excited are the girls about playing in front of the cameras this afternoon?
Look, it's funny, over the years, I've been with the program for a number of years, and you see girls all of a sudden, they were white last night and they come into a game today and they're brown as anything, so they've taken a trip to the tanning salon, and a couple of girls come out and they've got makeup on, so, it's interesting to see, the way the girls approach it. I think our girls this year probably aren't as worried about those sorts of things, but what worries me a little bit is we haven't had in the 6 years we've been around, we haven't had a good tenure of a lot of wins on TV games. So, we were up by 16 points against Melbourne in our last TV game when we lost by 5. So I hope we can turn that little hoodoo around and be honest with you.
Fantastic. Mate, the other thing too, just going back to the rescheduling of that other game, do people go to your website or have you got that in your head already?
No, we know when it is. It's on Saturday I think it's the 7th of December, Saturday 7th, or whatever that Saturday is, the 6th, one of those two. So we'll play a doubleheader. It'll be Saturday and Sunday that we play.
Cool. All right, Kevin, let's move on to tips, mate.
Let's get into it, mate. Only a couple more games left in this round, Jason. First of all, Sydney up against Melbourne. Sydney at home in that one. That one is tonight, 6 p.m. our time.
Look, roll the dice. On their night, Sydney can beat anyone. But on the flip side of that, Melbourne have just been so consistent, and they're very, I think Guy Malloy's doing a hell of a job with a younger group and getting them really geared up for every game, and they've only lost one game this season. So, look, I'd probably tip Melbourne because they're just a little bit more level-headed and a little bit more consistent. But if Sydney can put 4 quarters together, like I said, they'll beat anyone. But not sitting on the fence, I'll tip Melbourne.
What about West Coast up against Bendigo, mate? That's at the WA Basketball Centre this afternoon or tonight.
Yeah, look, poor old West Coast, they've copped some injuries this year, and they're very young. And we played Bendigo last week, and they're so experienced, they're so big. Every single one of them can score 30 on any given night. Like Kelsey Griffin against us scored something like 12. Last night she scored 32. Probably the only thing going for West Coast is that Bendigo are coming off a double. So that'll help them a slight bit, but I'd say Bendigo by about 30.
That's it, mate. And you've got the game this afternoon, 2 p.m. up against Canberra. Also, you're playing next Friday night at the Logan Metro Centre before we're on the air again. That will be against the West Coast, mate, at home. How are you feeling about that one, just looking ahead a little bit?
Look, we take it week by week. You can't look too far ahead, to be honest with you, and I suppose you can't look at people's ladder placings. They're last. we're second last, so it's a battle for the wooden spoon at the moment. And I'd like to think we'll get the win, but every game's tough, and we make it tough because we're very inconsistent in the way we play. So we'll just get through Canberra this afternoon and see how the week goes, and then let's see what happens next week.
That's it. The Logan Thunder up against Canberra this afternoon at the Logan Metro, 2 p.m. And next Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. our time, Logan up against the West Coast. Jason, we wish you the very best of luck. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks again for being with us.
No worries, guys, and thanks always for your support.
No worries, mate. We'll take a break here on SportzScene. We'll come back. We'll talk some motorsport. Stay with us on 101 FM.
Right here, a celebration.
Radio Logan 101 FM is celebrating 25 years of broadcasting, and we'd like to offer our sponsors a very special Silver Anniversary Investment Package. When you purchase any package of 30 announcements between now and January the 31st, all you'll pay is $8 plus GST for each announcement. And for a 3-month commitment, we'll give you an extra 10% in announcements. So, for example, if you buy 200, we'll give you another 20 bonus spots absolutely free. Secure your sponsorship and boost your sales with 101 FM's Silver Anniversary Package. Call Terry today on 38088
Bushfire season is here. Is your home in the line of fire? Bushfire not only threatens rural communities, if you live in a suburban or semi-rural area, you could also be at risk. Prepare yourself for the fire season. Clear the yard, get rid of leaves and twigs from the gutters, and know what to do if fire threatens your home. Remember, this year it could be you in the line of fire. For advice, contact your local fire station. This is a safety message from Queensland Fire and Rescue.
This is our home, this is our place. Whatever we do for tomorrow. Driving around, don't use the ground. Do the right thing, use the right bin. Keep Queensland beautiful. Keep it up, do the right thing. Keep Queensland beautiful. Keep it up, do the right thing.
For the best musical memories from the 50s and the 60s, it's Ted's Memories. Saturdays from 4 p.m. and only on 101 FM.
Don't miss the 30% off store-wide sale now on at Father Christmas, Brisbane's Christmas Wonderland. 2 mega stores, 2940 Logan Road, Underwood, and 1050 Manly Road, Tingalpa. Visit online, fatherchristmas.net.au. 30% off store-wide sale now on at Father Christmas. Station sponsor. Must end this Sunday. Not in conjunction with any other offer. Only on full price items. Father Christmas. 30% off store-wide sale now on at 2940 Logan Road, Underwood, and 1050 Manly Road, Tingalpa.
101 FM.
You're listening to Saturday Sports Scene on the voice of Logan City, 101 FM.
Welcome back to Sports Scene here on 101 FM, 27 minutes past 9. Heading into 10 o'clock, we'll be with you all the way till the top of the hour with the next fresh news update. Just a reminder, 101 FM will be holding a sausage sizzle outside Office Works at Compton Road this Saturday, 23rd November, from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. So come along and enjoy a delicious snack and a drink, and say hello to the 101 FM barbecue team. The bacon, egg, and onion rolls are particularly popular. Supporting the community, 101 FM and Office Works. Guys, it's now time to talk some motorsport. And Darren, unfortunately, we've got a little bit of some sad news to start off the motorsport segment.
Yeah, not the greatest way to start. Our friends at speedcafe.com have made us aware that Brisbane rally driver, now I hope I get this right, John Goastu, I do sincerely apologise to his family if I've got that wrong. Has been killed in a mountain biking accident around, I believe it was around Mount Cootha. So, near the Channel 9 studios, according to their site. So, him and his co-driver, John Spencer, were actually the first Australian crew home in the 2011 WRC event at Coffs Harbour. So, not a nice way to start the weekend for and obviously his family will be absolutely shattered, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, back in 2004, 2005, when I was working closely with Chris Atkinson, we were involved in the Australian Rally Championship, and John was obviously a part of that, and everyone had great words to speak about him during that time that I'm aware, and that continued on for many years. Just one of those freak accidents, it appears, and very unfortunate. Our thoughts go out to his friends and family.
Yeah, it's amazing too that so often we hear about these athletes who compete in these very dangerous sports, and it's not the sport that ends up taking their life. It's something fairly innocuous like a bicycling or mountain biking accident. So condolences from SportzScene to his family, and yes, not a great way to start the weekend for them at all.
Certainly not.
Sorry, yes. Moving on to, of course, Mark Webber this weekend. This is it. This is the end. He's the end of his Formula One career. As of next year, he'll be racing in the LMP1 car in the Le Mans series, and also competing at Le Mans itself in the event. Lee, what a career it's been. I know there's a lot of people that say things about him, but as far as I'm concerned, he's still one of the top 3 drivers this country's produced, and his results at the very top of the top level of the sport have proven it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's done a great job over the years. I mean, you look back at, he's won 9 races throughout his career. He's could make it 10 this weekend, who knows? But certainly he's been Australians, he's changed the way Australians have spoken about Formula One. I mean, for a number of years there, we didn't have anyone to follow, and Formula One in this country was somewhat down in the doldrums, and he's certainly changed that around. I mean, you look back at some of the highlights and of his career, you look at that 5th place in the Minardi back in his debut back at the Australian Grand Prix. You think about his first ever victory. There's been a lot of drama throughout that with his German teammate and Sebastian Vettel. That's probably the easiest way to put that. And the best thing about it all is that he's being replaced by another Australian.
Yes.
So that's probably the shining light out of it all, with Daniel Ricciardo getting the opportunity there at Red Bull, with Mark Webber stepping aside. And the interesting thing, we spoke about this probably about 6 months ago, about the fact of motor racing drivers, after they retire from the top level, going and doing something else.
Right.
And that's the great thing, is Webber will still be involved in motorsport, and he will still be, a great ambassador for Australian motorsport, but this time in another form of the sport.
Yeah, but the other thing too is he'll be involved in a form of the sport that won't give him quite as much of a thrill as F1 does, but it's probably the second quickest of all of them over the course of a season. I know they probably go a bit quicker at Le Mans down the Mulsanne, but the World Endurance Championship, those LMP1 cars, they are spaceships on wheels, Lee.
Yeah, just on that, Lee, you've got the situation where obviously the Australian public supported Webber with the Formula One and got behind it, and got it probably gotten probably used to a lot more in everyone's lounge room.
Yep.
Is it a situation where he goes to the Porsche and now it'll bring that popularity within the Australian public?
I think the following will continue, and there'll be more of an interest in them. I mean, you've had John Martin, who's actually from Blackwater in central Queensland. He's been running in the LMP2 category for a number of years, probably 2 or 3 years now over there. And for the diehard motorsport fans, they know what Le Mans is. They know the World Endurance Championship and that. And I think what you will see is more Australians actually take notice of what's going on. You see in the general news, if it's not Formula One, if it's not V8 Supercars or MotoGP, you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
And even MotoGP this year with no Casey Stoner,
right,
that coverage has dropped off because there's no Australian interest.
Of course, there's that great movie Le Mans. That's a top film.
And look, that's what's going to happen too. I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be a bit difficult for a free-to-air channel to actually pick up the World Endurance Championship, but the 3-hour races wouldn't be out of the question, plus Le Mans, because the 3-hour races, you're only talking about an extra hour of coverage on top of what you're already getting for a Grand Prix, but they do have 6-hour races in there as well, and it makes life a little bit difficult for a broadcaster to take it. I hope they do. There's a lot of buzz in the World Endurance Championship about Webber coming, and
very big over in Europe. But now in Australia, I think that profile lifted with him going that way. So, it'd be great to see.
Darren, it'd be great to see him get a podium finish in his last race, wouldn't it?
It would be absolutely sensational. And I mean, for me, I'm with Lee on this. I mean, his debut running fifth when he never should have. His first win at Monaco, that was really special. He's done that twice. And, for drivers, if they don't win the championship, Monaco's the one they want to win. But for me, the lasting memory for him on the track will always be as a racer, passing Fernando Alonso at the bottom of Eau Rouge, about to head up into Rédillon at Belgium, at Spa, and something you do not do in a race car, go too wide through the bottom of Eau Rouge. He did it, and he did it because he trusted the guy next to him, Fernando Alonso, his friend and a great racer also, and that'll be my lasting memory of Webber on the racetrack.
Absolutely. All right, well, we wish him the best of luck in his last ever F1 race, the end of what has been a terrific era, terrific career in the F1 there for Mark Webber. We move now onto the V8 Supercars here. It's 36 minutes past 9 on SportzScene. Kevin Braysher, Darren Madigan, Chris Chard, Lee Hanatscheck, Craig Crowley, all here with you. The V8 Supercars, they're at Phillip Island this weekend, the second last event of the year for the V8 Supercars. The championship race very much alive in this one, Lee. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to seeing how all these cars and drivers adapt to the newly surfaced conditions down there when the whole circuit's been resurfaced. So it's the first time I visited there. 10 cars went under the lap record yesterday. And that's testament to the higher grip levels that come with the resurfacing. But also a lot of the drivers are saying they're on the edge during those times, whereas before they could sort of control it a bit better. Now they're adjusting their setup to try and adapt to the increase in speed, especially through turn 1, where it's the fastest corner in Australian motorsport, with the exception of the chase at the end of the Bathurst circuit. And it is certainly a great circuit. They all love going there. They go over the back and go through the hay shed over the top of the circuit. I think the championship battle is going to be on for young and old this weekend. You've got, realistically, they're saying there's 4 in the battle. Well, Davison's got to have a lot of luck go his way. He's in the way of Will Davison. He's got to have a lot of luck go his way if he's going to be in the battle. It's realistic down between Craig Lowndes, Jamie Whincup and Mark Winterbottom.
Well, let's take a look at the top 4 and their point standing at the moment. Craig Lowndes, he's currently on top with 2,549 points. Jamie Whincup right there next to him, 2,543 points. And then we go down to Mark Winterbottom, 2,461, and Will Davison, 2,428. Very tight at the top, Darren, and it's one of these tracks. It's just a brilliant spectacle racing around Phillip Island. It's a beautiful track to watch.
Oh, I love it. For me, it's second only to Bathurst in Australia. This track has got everything. It's probably the best motorcycle track on the planet. There's even been down through the years trying to get Formula One out here to test at one stage. So, it's a magnificent track. It's been resurfaced. The times are falling like crazy. The only thing I don't understand is why we are running the 60-60 format at this wonderful track. I'd just love to see those guys out on track a lot longer and absolutely gunning it. But, that's V8 Supercars for you lately, making certain decisions. But, as far as I'm concerned, this is, after Bathurst, the best track that we have in Australia, and I just love it.
What's your opinion on the 60-60 situation there, Lee?
Look, I personally, I don't overly agree with it, but I understand what they've tried to do. They've tried to spice the racing up. Has it worked to the motor racing purists? Probably not. Has it worked for the fans who, wanted something different, wanted to see more excitement? With the 60-60 format, it allows you to have, a couple of race starts, and that's what people want to see. People want to see the action, and they want to see the crashes. The format is basically like you've got 2 sprint races effectively. Yeah. It's like the 2020 version of V8 Supercars, where you've got two short races which count into the overall event. You have a restart, you have a start, then you have a restart where all the cars are all bunched up. That's what people want to see. People want to see action. They want to see banging doors. They want to see passing. Those people who aren't motor racing purists, they want to see crashes as well. That's what people want to see.
We should
true.
So,
Supercars have tried to manipulate the racing in that way. I'll say it that way because, that's what they're in an entertainment game now. They're not just in motor racing. They're in entertainment as well. And that's what they want to see. And to the purists, no, it hasn't worked. Have they tried something different to try and improve the product? Absolutely. And in business, what you've got to do, you've got to always try and improve. So you can't sit in your hands and wait for, to be overtaken by someone else. They've tried it. It probably hasn't worked as good as what they've wanted to. For the purists, like the dinosaur on the line, he's not a fan of it, but certainly they've tried it. They've dropped it for next year, gone to a slightly different format, but using the same principles. And sort of going to a midway mark, and certainly it's been something different.
All right. Well, next we're going to do something this week, but we don't have time. We'll look at it for doing it next week or next time you're on, Lee. But I want to go through the document that was released last week, which is a bit like the Concord Agreement in Formula One in terms of technical arrangements and most importantly how the formats of the races and stuff. But one thing we will bring up, Clipsal. We're going to have a night race next year, which I actually like the idea of. Although I'm thinking
Twilight race. Twilight.
Well, it'll end in night time, won't it?
No, it'll still be dusk.
Okay, so they aren't going the whole hog. So it's 2 125 races and a 250, I think, on the Sunday or something. But I'm just wondering whether they should have gone the whole hog and gone night time on the Saturday with a full length race to 250.
Well, I actually read an interesting article from Russell Engel during the week, and actually made sense. I mean, I was very surprised of a V8 supercar driver actually saying something that made sense.
Yeah, I read the same article. Yeah,
he disagreed with the concept. What the concept for those listeners who don't know, the Clipsal 500 has been traditionally 250-kilometre races over the last 14 years. That's why it's been one Saturday, one Sunday, one of the most grueling races on the calendar. Now, what they've done for next year, yet again, trying something different, is they've split the Saturday race into 2 125-kilometre races, starting later in the day, and therefore once again you've got two starts, so there's more action for the fans. They've also found that you can actually start that last part of the race later once people are home from their Saturday afternoon chores and going to Bunnings and going doing the shopping. Come home, put the TV on at 5 o'clock, and watch this race. So the race will finish about 7:30. Something on those lines, 6:30, 7:30, where daylight saving is still on in South Australia. So it will certainly be right smack bang on prime time when they turn the TV on. Now, as a purist, once again, Darren, yes, tradition is what you want. You want to keep that tradition of 250 Ks. You have sort of kept that, but you've sort of spiced it up a bit as well. Now, from the true night time, what you're saying, I, as a PR person and involved in sponsorship and things like that, I'm not a fan of night races unless it is completely lit up on the circuit. Because you look at Le Mans, you cannot see and tell what cars they are unless you really know the difference in the headlights. That's the key. You can't see the cars until they're under the spotlights, and that's where I think the dusk format will work. But certainly it's different. Yes, it's changed, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think though you're comparing apples with oranges there. I mean, when you're talking about the Lasarth circuit, it's a ridiculously long track that probably wouldn't even be allowed to be raced on these days. A bit like Monaco, if you were just doing it for the start. But if you take a look at the modern Grand Prix tracks like Yas Marina at Abu Dhabi, and especially the Marina Bay circuit at Singapore, it's pretty well lit up, and you can get your signs and your PR stuff out there for everyone to see on. And let's face it, you want them to see it on television. Because, I mean, you might get 70 or 80,000 people at track, but you want the 1.3 million people on television actually watching it to actually see those signs. And, I think you can pull that off at Adelaide circuit. And let's face it, it's a shortened circuit these days. It's not as long as the old Grand Prix track. The way they've managed to get lighting into allow for Grand Prix racing, I think they can more than do it for touring cars. And I reckon it'd be a great idea. And you can have them starting after the news on Channel 7, because that's what they want. They want it in prime time on 7. And, get it in after the news and have a couple of hour long race, and then you can go into your nightly movie.
as a business from the South Australian government, why would you spend an extra $10 million on lighting on an event that's already making a lot of money already? Why would you have to invest that when you don't have to change it that much and change it slightly?
Yeah, it's a good point. Only because they're actually saying it's stale themselves.
Fair enough.
Get the Rolling Stones in next year.
We're going to leave that one there, guys. We'll take a break here on Sports till we come back. We got Danielle Edwards, I should say, not Danielle. So we'll say it properly. Danielle Edwards. She's the coach of the Logan City Council Wildcats. She'll be on the phone to talk some netball with us straight after the break. So stay with us here on Sports Scene on 101 FM.
Hi, Steve.
101 FM. Kevin Braysher, Darren Madigan, Chris Chard, Lee Hanatscheck, Craig Crowley, all here with you now, taking you through to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. Joining us on the line now, Danielle Edwards, the coach of the Logan City Council Wildcats. She's on the line now to talk us some netball. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Good morning, everybody.
It's great to have you. Very excited to talk to you this morning. How are things going this morning? It's good to have you.
Yes, no, it is very exciting. It's my husband's birthday, and I've got my children off the basketball, so I'm crazy as a mother is too. But yeah, it's a great day to be outside anyway, so I'm excited.
Certainly is. Darren, mate?
Good morning, Danielle. It's Darren here. Great to have you on. Happy birthday to your husband. Let's take a look at yourself for people who may not know you that well. You're now the new coach of the Logan City Council Wildcats in the QCC this year. I'm been taking a look at your record. I mean, you've got an absolutely stellar career in junior coaching, right up to the 19s, right up to national level. Is this your first senior coaching gig?
Yeah, it is actually. I've spent a lot of time in the schoolgirl system and doing development kind of work in the area, and this is my first time in the senior ranks, so it's new for me, but still very exciting all in the same day. As
you go on, though, with your career, I mean, all this time that you have spent, and I'm looking at a massive screen here of Queensland teams and Australian schoolgirl teams and things like that. I mean, it must help you with recruiting and everything as the next few years go on.
Yeah, and I've actually been really lucky. I've felt that when I've gone to select this team, I've had a lot of girls come and support me, and I'm actually really happy with how many people nominated to come and play for the Logan City Wildcats next year. And it's beautiful to think that girls that I've touched in the past have come back to me and really want to work with me again. And I think as a coach, that's probably what I aim to achieve, that I keep people playing netball and that they keep wanting to go and that they come back to me when they're brilliant is probably a major bonus for me.
Well, before I move on to the team, as I've alluded to, you've got quite a decorated career as a coach. What's been your favourite moments?
I think probably winning national championships in Toowoomba with the 15 schoolgirls, because I had one in primary school, but secondary is a whole new different challenge, and I won against two really highly decorated coaches from other states. So when I won that in my own state, it was really kind of the starting point for me where I realised that I'm a great coach, and from there I got appointed the assistant coach on the Australian team, the Australian schoolgirls team. So I think that was probably the highlight of my career, and from there we actually got appointed we won the title of the Queensland Junior Sport Team of the Year. So I think that was probably the highlight of my year so far, of my coaching career so far. So it's something I've really enjoyed.
Well, for the last 2 years, you've been this year you were assistant coach. You were manager last year of the Australian Schoolgirls netball team. 2014 coming up, you'll be assistant coach again. How does that affect your senior gig, or is it at different times of the year?
Yeah, it does affect a little bit because the schoolgirl competition is a 1 week competition. We have a training camp in the Anzac weekend in Melbourne, so I will be away for a couple of days there. But because it's schoolgirls, it's during the school time. But I will be away for one game when the international championship is on. So I will only miss one game, but I do have a beautiful assistant coach under me who's very talented, and I think she'll be capable for that game. Fantastic.
Well, looking at moving on to the Logan City Council Wildcats, you'll be pleased to know we just had a chat with Jason Shaney from the Logan Thunder, and everything looks all right at Logan Metro. So if you're playing games there next year, the venue is actually looking pretty good.
I'm sure the council has sorted that situation out. Who could have thought that, it must have been a massive storm to take out the Thunder game, can you imagine? But I it could be, that'd be crazy, but yes, we're very excited about playing from that venue and getting it going.
Great stuff. Look, I'm going to go through the team now, and then I'll get you to take us through some of the more well-known players. But the team from the top is Courtney Kappa, Hulita Hukunama, Larissa Hughes, Marie Josie, Rosa Kavai, Abigail Latu-Mafo, I hope I pronounced that one right, Madeline McAuliffe, Olivia O'Donnell, Eldora Tuala, and Madeline Walsh. So there's some new players there in the team, and some prodigies there too in Hokunara. I remember she was being talked about for Australia a couple of years ago in schoolgirls and stuff. So how about you take us through it? Let's start with Courtney Kappa.
Yeah, Courtney Kappa is an up-and-coming player, and she's currently in the Queensland 19 squad to be selected next weekend. She's at John Cook College on the Horizon program and just graduated. She has played the last 2 years in Jags, and I remember a game where I coached Logan against Southport. She smashed me in one quarter and they won the final, and that was probably the highlight for me of Courtney's career. She's a strong shooter with very, very accurate and very agile in the circle, so I think she'll be a great asset to our shooting end.
No worries. Hulita, I've met her parents and I've met Hulita a bit in previous seasons. She was being touted as a prodigy, hell of a nice family. How is she going these days?
Alita is probably one of my best sightings, and I think I've been very privileged to coach Alita for 3 years at Logan, and I think when I first put my hand up to coach a team, she was the first girl I contacted, just because she's got this presence about her on court, and she's so dynamic, and she intercepts balls, and I love the way she thinks, and the family are beautiful and amazing, and that she's played in this area her whole life and lived here, going to Marsden High School as well. It's a great asset to the team. It just shows what we can accomplish in this area.
Fair enough. Larissa Hughes.
Larissa's been playing for McGregor netball pretty much all her whole life, and she was in our second team, our Tier 2 team, and she's come up last year. And so I'm very impressed that Larissa wanted to stay on board and have a crack with me this year. I did coach Larissa in the academy, but she will also add depth to our shooting circle, and I like that I could move Larissa into our wing attack area as well. So some added depth for me. Decision making anyway, it'd be tough.
Okay. Mary Josie?
Mary was playing in links, and when I was assistant coach for the 19s last year, Mary was actually the captain of the Queensland 19s team. She's a very deceptive wing defence, and she works hard off the ball, and she's different to her leader in that she's stronger and works harder, and she does all the groundwork so people can work and take all those great intercepts that they do. So we're very lucky. Mary's come over to us from links, and I'm very excited to see what she can do in our team.
All right. Rosa Kavai, she's been around a while. Great to see her getting another shot at QCC level. How is she doing these days?
Yeah, look, I haven't even seen Rosie yet. Amazingly, she's actually currently playing for the Cook Islands, and she gets back on Wednesday. She's been in a 2 or 3 test series against Singapore, which she won. So, and I'm loving that she's got that depth of experience to bring to the team that others haven't experienced, because there's not many. Helita would be the only one that's experienced international netball. So I think that all that experience she's got is going to be brilliant in my mid-court area and fitting the ball to my shooters.
All right. Abigail Latu-Mafo?
Yeah, I love Abigail, and I think she's probably our one and up-and-coming shooters in the area. Abby last year as a bottom eight, she was a 16-year-old, got Australian talent ID'd as a goal attack, and she is strong and committed and passionate, and she has the highest jump I've ever seen, and her accuracy in shooting. Just very lucky to get Abby to come over. I coached a friend of hers, and she liked what I had to offer, so I was very excited that I've got this opportunity to see what I can do with Abby.
All right. Maddie McAuliffe?
Maddie. Who doesn't love Maddie McAuliffe? She is so strong, that girl. And you've always got to have a beautiful redhead in the middle to control your team.
Indeed.
And Maddie's been in QCC and Wildcats for a long time. Ex-John Paul school captain. And I love the leadership and strength she brings to the team. When we train, Maddie is unbelievable. She just leads in the front, and she runs so hard and works so hard. And I'm really excited that she brings the standard up at training. That's one of Maddie's best attributes.
All right. Olivia O'Donnell?
Olivia, I love Olivia. She's new, and she's come from Southport College and played with Tigers last year. She's a very mobile, dynamic, great change of direction in our wing attack kind of role. I'm looking to see that she can do some beautiful work and bringing it down to our shooters and combining with Rosa and Maddie.
All right. Eldora Tuala?
Eldora. I love Eldora. Again, I was very lucky to have her at Logan for 2 years, and she's a strong goalkeeper that we got. And when her and Helena played together in juniors, they're unstoppable. And I'm hoping they continue to do that this year. She's so perceptive, and she can just see balls all over the place and she intercepts them. It's quite intimidating with her size. She's going to be very handy up that back end.
All right, and Maddie Walsh, who I think is ex-Jags, isn't she?
Yeah, she is ex-Jags, Maddie Walsh. So, that's very exciting. And I've not had a lot to do with Maddie Walsh, but her and Maddie McAuliffe are good friends. And when they train together, their intensity and just the way they stepped up and led by example in the last couple of weeks has been amazing. And I think she's been ID'd for future fusion. And I think having her in that defensive end of mine is just going to make it stronger. I think I've really got one of the best defensive ends in the QCC competition, and I'm just excited about what they can do.
Fair enough. We're running out of time, but it's been a tough few years for the Logan City Wildcats. How do you think you'll go this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping for top 4, and I actually think we've got the team and the capabilities of top 4. I love netball and I love coaching, and I really want this team to be successful, and I want this region to be successful. And I think we've got the player base around us to make that happen. Training's amazing, their intensity is amazing, and their attitude is amazing. So I think put it all together and we're really strong, and I think we're going to be great.
Great stuff, Danielle. We'll get you on again soon, and we'll have a chat about how things are progressing, and we've really enjoyed having you on the show for the first time. Danielle Edwards from the Logan City Council Wildcats. Thank you so much. We'll catch you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Danielle. We'll take a break here on Sports Scene. Very quick one. We'll be right back to wrap it all up.
Now it's back to Saturday Sports Scene on 101 FM.
Yes, welcome back to Sports Scene here on 101 FM. Big thanks to Danielle Edwards, the coach of the Logan City Council Wildcats, for being with us just now. We're going to wrap it all up, guys. Thanks for being with us once again. It's been a terrific show. Thanks to Jason Chaney being on the phone with us earlier. Chris Swan as well, guys. Thanks for being in studio with us, Craig. You got another good tip for us this week?
Yes, in the champion snooker, Ronnie Stewart to go straight through the semi-finals into the grand final and win that. So good luck, Ronnie.
You were spot on with your darts tip last week.
Well, I know these things, mate.
You do, mate. That's why you're here. Lee, thanks for being with us, mate. It's been great to have you back in studio.
Thanks, Kev. Great to be with you yet again.
Yes.
And my tip quickly is probably Mark Winterbottom to move right into championship contention and probably lead the way after this weekend.
Chrissy Chard, thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate. Work hard. Be good to you, brother.
Darren Madigan, thanks as always, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Mitchell Johnson to take 5 for Doctor Who, 10 to 6 tomorrow morning.
Century for Dave Warner for me. We'll see you next week.